Yeah, we just got to keep looking at it, keep trying to find new ways to improve later on in the season, whatever that may be. That's definitely a priority this offseason.
It was a massive failure. I mean, from what we were capable of doing and from what we showed we can do to today, there's no other way to describe it than as a failure. We didn't do what we were supposed to do. We started the season great and we finished the season terrible. So it is what it is.
Yeah, on the contrary, Michael, the Cardinals did exactly what they were supposed to do, and if they believe they're supposed to do something differently, probably need to find a new coach. Kliff Kingsbury feels like only yesterday he was getting legitimate and serious Coach of the Year love. Feels like only yesterday he was getting illegitimate and manufactured speculation about whether or not he would go to the University of Oklahoma to replace Lincoln Riley, given his Big 12 ties. And now here we are, Kliff Kingsbury going into the last year of his contract. Now, coaches have coached in the last year of their contract before. It's not unprecedented, but it's unpopular. It's uncomfortable. It's not how you want your organization to function with a lame duck coach. I don't know how the Arizona Cardinals can look at what happened, not just last night, but look at what happened down the stretch this season and feel good about handing Kliff Kingsbury a contract extension. Not when his body of work suggests that this is what happens to Kliff Kingsbury teams. Michael, okay, look, I spent the whole A block giving you grief for how wrong you were about the Los Angeles Rams. Okay, conversely, you never trusted the Arizona Cardinals, even when they were number one in a lot of people's power rankings, even when they were 10-2, even when they were undefeated and undefeated on the road. You never trusted the Cardinals, and rightfully so. 2019, again, his first year, different roster.
Right.
3-1 start, 2-7 finish. Missed the playoffs.
Right.
2020, as we all know, which was the basis for your lack of trust. 6-3.
Right.
Start. 2-5 finish. Missed the playoffs. This year, that aforementioned 10-2 start, a 1-5 finish, including getting embarrassed last night in the wild card game.
Okay.
But wait, there's more. Go back to Texas Tech. 13, lost 5 of 6. 14, lost 4 of 6. 15, lost 4 of 6. 16, lost 6 of 8. 17, lost 6 of 8. 18, lost 5 of 5. And then, of course, the last 3 years, losing 7 of 9, 5 of 7, and 5 of 6 to end the season. This is what Kliff Kingsbury teams do. So for Kliff Kingsbury to say, we got to find a way to get better late in the season or play better late in the season, I don't know that Kliff Kingsbury is capable of finding those ways. Clearly, the rest of the league or the rest of the competition is more than capable of figuring out Kliff Kingsbury teams. But how you can commit long-term to somebody who's only good for the first half of the season, I don't know. If the Cardinals actually want to get past the first round and maybe threaten their first organizational championship since 1947, I don't see them doing it with Kliff Kingsbury at the helm based on the body of work that he's had going back to Texas Tech.
I got to tell you, this conversation is so unfair. This is so unfair. I don't like this at all. And I think it's unfair to go back to Texas Tech, talk about Kliff Kingsbury. I do. I really, we're looking at Kingsbury, who took over for Steve Wilkes, who was one and done in Arizona.
Yep. Right.
He took over. He had a rookie quarterback in Kyler Murray. And so that first year, rookie head coach in the NFL, rookie quarterback, and whatever's going to happen there. We don't have great expectations with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback. That's year one.
Okay, so scrap year one. Year one. Okay, cool. Scrap year one.
So year one. Year two, there's improvement.
Kyler got hurt.
There's improvement.
And Kyler got hurt down the stretch.
There's improvement, and it's a collapse. Year three, what happened? Kyler got hurt also. There's a COVID outbreak again on the roster, including with Kingsbury himself.
And they competed with Colt McCoy and won games with Colt McCoy.
And they improved again. Year 1, they didn't make the playoffs. Year 2, they did not make the playoffs. Year 3, they make the playoffs. The young quarterback is getting better. The young quarterback was an MVP candidate last year until he fell off. Same thing happened in 2021. DeAndre Hopkins had some injuries. There were some things that happened with the Arizona Cardinals.
Extenuating circumstances.
See, this is what I don't like that's happening in the NFL. It's just it's happening across the board. And I just don't say this about coaches of color, particularly black coaches. I think people need to get fair opportunities to show what they are. So 3 years of Kliff Kingsbury at 42 years old, I don't know who he is yet as a head coach in the NFL. What he did at Texas Tech, I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't care. What I care about is how is he improving as a head coach in the NFL. I didn't like what his team was doing this year. I don't like the way they collapsed down the stretch. I could see the collapse coming. They lost to the Detroit Lions.
But Michael, but can I ask you a question?
But I don't think it's fair to really go on like this.
I respect that. That is a very reasoned, rational, and logical take on your part, and I respect the hell out of it. But as I recall, and maybe you can remember what you were thinking in the moment, when I, like many, were kind of by default saying that the Cardinals were the best team in the NFC. You were like Public Enemy. Can't trust it.
Yeah.
You were like, I can't trust them. I don't trust the Cardinals. And even when they beat the Cowboys for their only win during this swoon, you was like, I still don't trust them. And you based that off of how they finished last year. So I guess I'm saying I don't remember these circumstances, this rationale, this reason, when you just flat out said they were untrustworthy because they are, which was what you said before. So how did you come around to being more patient?
They were and they are untrustworthy, but I don't think they were untrustworthy because, hey, Kliff Kingsbury is their coach and I don't trust him. And you put another coach in there, all of a sudden I'm excited about the Cardinals. I think they are learning to turn their culture around. They had a pretty solid culture in place when Bruce Arians was the head coach, and they had some playoff success, and then it went south. It really went south. And now they're on the way back up. I don't think they're quite set yet. I don't think they're loaded everywhere they need to be. Now they have some really impressive pieces. You know, A.J. Green and DeAndre Hopkins and Connor had a renaissance this year. And okay, they did some good things. J.J. Watt, what's left of him? Chandler Jones is really good. They have some intriguing pieces, but I still think they're a young, improving team. And let's go back to the quarterback. So I think whatever you say about Kliff Kingsbury as a pro, not in college, but whatever you say about Kliff Kingsbury as a pro head coach, you can say the same things about Kyler Murray. That there are a lot of good flashes, there are a lot of things in there that are promising, but at times, little head scratching.
This was the worst pick six that I've seen in a long time. That's the worst pick six I've seen in a long time. Not only is it the shortest pick six in NFL history, it's the worst pick six I've seen in a long time. Because he seems to get really rattled in his own end zone, number one. Number two, how you think that it's a good idea, as if you're turning a double play, to throw underhanded as you're being sacked. Like, the best you could hope for in that moment is that nobody catches it, and then it's only a safety. You're not avoiding a safety in that moment by throwing it away because the best you could hope for is intentional grounding. So that's not Kliff Kingsbury's fault. But the aptly named Kliff Kingsbury, his teams, there's a pattern of his teams falling off of one, as in a cliff. Okay?
Yep.
And you're right.
I got it.
But Michael, respectfully, everything you said, we could do that with every team that makes a change. If that's the case, then nobody deserves to be fired. All right?
No. That's not true. That's not true because his team has
there's
shown
a middle ground.
Improvement. But we're judging them. We're judging him because the improvement. We get excited about the improvement. They start off this year 7-0 or 8-0?
7-0, I believe it was, and 10-2.
So if
one of the losses was Green Bay, and the other one was without Kyler Murray.
But this conversation is based on what we see, and we believe what we see at the time, which goes back to our first conversation of today. At the time, we thought this, and then we adjust to the expectations. So if they had started this year 4-3, or if they had started 5-2, and they win one, lose one, win one, they go down the stretch, and they finished with the record that they have, people say, all right, the Cardinals made the playoffs, and they lost to a better team. Right. They lost to the divisional champ. So, hey, let's get ready for next year. Instead, we're going back to 7-0, as if that's really what they were, or that's what they're supposed to be.
Fair enough.
And that's what I don't.
Hey,
and that's not what I. See,
that's
like
what
I'm
that.
saying.
I like that logic. But we have
got to
apply
that's who they are.
But we got to apply that across the board then, because okay,
sure.
by that,
so who else is like that? Who else's
rationale,
story is that? That's nobody else's
Miami.
story that I can think of right now.
Miami, because. Okay, Brian Flores.
Well, we're on the same page. We're on the same page.
When Brian Flores.
We're on the same page.
But wait a second. But I think I'm identifying an inconsistency. We were outraged when Brian Flores was fired. We got to put a pin in this in a second. We were outraged when Brian Flores was fired because the Dolphins rebounded from a 1-7 start. That 1-7 start that they had. How much did Brian Flores have to do with that? In other words, Michael, I hear you 100%, and I like what you said. Yeah. I like everything you said about looking at this with more subtlety and more nuance than just, oh, you were 7-0, you were 10-2, you fell apart, get him up out of here. You're right. It's gone to an extreme where coaches don't get time anymore. The only thing I want you to ponder as we go to break, we got company waiting for us. The only thing I want you to ponder, we'll come back to this later, is if you are Cardinals management and you're serious about contending for a championship, you have Kliff Kingsbury going into a contract year. Do you feel good about giving him a contract the way the last 2 seasons have ended for whatever reason? With what you saw last night, would you feel good about handing him a long-term contract? That's what I'm talking about. Even if you don't want to fire him, there's a decision that needs to be made. And his body of work in Arizona and Texas Tech as a head coach, sorry, it does matter, and there's a pattern of his teams fading and getting figured out. They were thinking about Texas Tech when they hired him. They were thinking about it when they hired him.
But his players, nobody in that locker room says, hey, man, the same thing Coach did at Texas Tech. No, it doesn't matter. We moved on.
Okay.
We've graduated. We've graduated to the pros.
No, and again, I appreciate your stance. I do. But there has to be some accountability, and it starts with the head coach.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.